A great many of us have a fondness for this beautiful metal that you see before you here, gold. But if taken too far, it can be a little bit dangerous. That is known as gold fever. And it has gone so extreme that it has led to the deaths of 4 individuals. I'm going to be talking about that story and so much more as we explore. Gold. Most of us accumulate it by buying it from a bullion dealer. But there's other ways that gold can be obtained as well. Some of them and a little bit nefarious, or through some very sketchy patterns and ways, from mining it illegally in dangerous conditions to finding it buried somewhere. And that is where this story is leading. But as for me, I just prefer to buy the metal. And if you stay tuned, in this video I'm going to show you my last piece that I purchased for the year 2023. So stay tuned and I'll show you that piece because it is rather unique. My guess is probably no one here has ever seen a piece like this that I'm going to show you as the video progresses here. But as the wheel of time continues to march on, well, what do we know? We know that people have been after gold for centuries and for thousands of years. And there was a time when it was a lot harder to get gold. Nowadays, if you have the money, you can just, with a click of a button, you can order it. But nonetheless, in the case of Washington State and Seattle, according to the Associated Press, well, there's a man in jail who made a promise to help find some buried stolen gold. And he lured 4 victims to their deaths in order to do so. This is a case that is now awaiting trial, and we now know that there's 3 other victims, according to the latest report here from this story, according to the AP. Richard Bradley Jr., who was 40 years old, was charged in May 2021 with first-degree murder in the death of 44-year-old Brandy Blake, whose body was found buried in a sprawling park in Auburn, Washington. In the last 2 weeks, prosecutors have filed 3 more murder charges against Bradley in the shooting deaths of a father and adult son in May of 2021 and in the 2019 death of a man whose remains were found near Blake's grave, according to court docs. Bradley's defense attorney, Peter Gaisness, did not immediately return voice and email messages that were left with him recently. Bradley is scheduled to stand trial in January over Blake's death. He's not yet had the opportunity to enter a plea on the other murder charges, according to online court records. Senior Deputy Prosecutor Thomas Oban wrote in the court documents that Bradley is accused of using the same scheme in each of the deaths, allegedly telling victims that he needed their help digging up a stash of stolen gold, taking them to a wooded area and killing them before stealing their vehicles and whatever possessions were inside. So think about it. He told them that it was stolen and that he was going to take them there and he was going to disperse and split the gold with them. He just needed help digging it out. Well, how did the gold get there in the first place? And if it was gotten there by him, well, couldn't he have just done it himself? In other words, the whole thing sounds suspicious from the get-go, especially when you're driving out to a remote area. It makes you wonder, maybe in this case, some of the criminals really are not as intelligent as some may think they are. And certainly is the case here. And it just goes to show you the gold fever had set in with these individuals, thinking they were going to get an easy payout with gold. And then the thing is, I will give them at least this. In this day and age, in this digital world we live in, they're not afraid of a little bit of hard labor to get gold. Still, easy money nonetheless, and they understand, at least, that gold is valuable and expensive. So I will give them at least that, but that's pretty much about it. And sadly, they met their demise, for sure. And so what happened was, he took them to the death, and he needed their help digging up a stash of stolen gold, taking them to this wooded area and killing them, and then stealing their vehicles and whatever possessions were inside. Charging documents say Emilio Maturin was 36 when he was last seen alive in July of 2019. His girlfriend reported him missing 2 weeks later. So it took her 2 weeks to do that. That's crazy. According to the court documents, she told detectives that she overheard Bradley telling Maturin that he needed help digging up some buried gold in Auburn. Maturin initially was skeptical. She told detectives he should have stuck with that first hunch, right? But allegedly went along anyway. Maturin was in the habit of taking large amounts of money with him whenever he left the house, according to the documents, and he had roughly $15,000 in cash when he left that day in his recently purchased BMW. Boy, there you go. Doesn't that show? That tells you all you need to know there. The girlfriend tracked Maturin's cell phone to Game Farm Park in Auburn and went to look for him, but got scared and left, according to charging documents. Several hours later, Auburn police found an unregistered BMW parked near a large field at a park and waited for the driver to return. When they attempted to stop the driver, the car took off. Bradley was arrested after a car and a foot chase charged him with eluding police. And that was really stupid of him to stay in that car. But hey, there you go. And he was, but anyways, he eluded, according to these charging documents. Now, Michael Goman, who is age 59, and his son Vance Lakey, 31, were shot to death in March of 2021, and their bodies were found on an unmaintained road not far from the park. Goman received a large inheritance just before he and his son were killed, according to court documents. There's looks like to be a pattern here. We have a serial killer on our hands. Bradley was considered a person of interest in the deaths at the time. He was charged that May with second-degree arson after prosecutors say he offered a man $1,000 to set fire to the father and son's impounded SUV. On Thursday, prosecutors added 2 counts of second-degree murder. Blake went missing in early May of 2021. She had won $20,000 at a casino, and like Maturin, was known to carry large amounts of cash, according to court documents. Investigators found her body in a shallow grave at the park later that month, as well as 3 human ribs about 30 feet away. You know, and the thing is that how in the world did he, if they were on his tail in 2019, unless that we're jumping forward to just now, to where they finally caught him. Let's see here, the day he had recently purchased the BMW for that first murder. There's something missing there, I think. Bradley was charged that same month with killing Blake, who died of blunt force injuries. The ribs were later matched by DNA to Maturin, and Bradley was charged with murder and Maturin's death on December 5th of this year. So, very interesting. And it goes to tell you that if somebody says, hey, I got some buried gold out there, you want to come help me dig it up? Well, it's best not to go. If it's too good to be true, or, more likely it is. And that's exactly the case as we saw here. Sadly, they met their violent end, and that is how that story ends. And it's really a shame. It's too bad, but, I prefer to get my gold the old-fashioned way. I just buy it, I mean, there are people in the community, even in this community, who actually go prospecting, and that's a lot of hard work, but it is satisfying if you can find a couple of grams of gold out there, and knowing you're getting it directly out of the creek, or digging for it and finding it there. I think that's pretty amazing, and that's satisfying because it's gold that's really never seen the light of day or been in the above-ground gold stockpiles. You have it in your possession, these little nuggets. I would love to do that one time, as long as I knew I was actually going to find some gold. And you can also buy pay dirt as well, and get gold that way. That's fun. Usually that's just an exercise of for fun, but nonetheless, you really don't get the return. But some of these bags, I say, yes, and is guaranteed some gold in there, but it's very, very small flakes. You're basically doing that just for the experience of mining for gold, as for fun. Now, there are other ways, obviously, to be able to get gold, and just walking around in the desert in Western Australia. And there's people who have found large nuggets, well over 2-3 ounces, just sitting there in the desert. Even in this day and age, some of those can be found out there, and that's exactly what happens from time to time in Western Australia. It's a unique place there. But again, it takes some time and effort to do that, and time is money. And for me, I just enjoy collecting gold pieces such as you see on your screen here. I think it's really, really a beautiful metal in all of its different forms. It has a weight and density to it that I think is unmatched, unparalleled with any other metal out there, in terms of its color and in terms of its just the feel, the weight and the heaviness of it is quite intriguing. So with that being said, there are many different ways and styles of gold to choose from, and some are more recognizable than others, and sometimes you can get gold on the cheap when you, as long as you know what you are buying. And that's exactly what happened when I went to my local coin shop and I got this gold coin. Yeah, I was surprised. This is a 900 fine gold, as you can see right there. It is marked, but not with the weight. You have to actually put it on a scale, but it is 90% gold. And you can see it's Edward Wimper, and on 14th of July, 1865, I guess he climbed Matterhorn, and this is the Matterhorn piece. This is one of a 3-coin or 3-piece set. This is a medallion. I think that was minted in Austria, and I think it was around 1965 that these were produced to commemorate that event in 1865. And there is a piece that is well over an ounce, far above an ounce, and then this piece, which is a tenth of an ounce, and actually it weighs, the total weight of it is 3.55 grams because it has a balance of copper in there, but it is 90% gold. So there's this piece, and then there's another smaller piece, I think, that is there in the set. But I've not, I just saw that someplace in my little research on this. But, and the thing like this, buy a gold at spot. This kind of piece is going to be a little bit more difficult if I'm going to liquidate it, other than just knowing that it's marked there. But I figured at spot, might as well go ahead and pick it up. And I did pick this up on the most recent little dip that we had too. So where gold is right now, I'm actually sitting pretty on it, and will have gotten it for under spot because I actually put it on layaway, and just now picked it up. I wanted to pick it up before the end of the year at the local coin shop, and that's how I accumulated this piece. And so there are deals to be had, and there's ways to do it to avoid that gold fever. And so there you go. So let me know what you think about this story. Dying for gold. Not very fun at all. You can't enjoy the gold if you're dead. So let me know what your thoughts are. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and entertaining. I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.